We are on. Okay, welcome to the May 2nd meeting of the Planning Board. I guess we're almost all here. Russ is not here tonight, but everybody else seems to be, so we clearly have a quorum. And one of those two got, who got to vote last time?
Ed did.
Ed did, so Neil, you're on as voting.
That's fine.
Okay, so the attendance is in good shape. Didn't we have a couple of minutes that had to be approved?
Yes.
So,
I just got these like 1 minute ago. I haven't read one word of them, so. I don't know how we can approve
Oh,
them.
is that what just got handed out?
If we just got them.
well, it's, I mean, if we want to just hold off on,
Just take a minute?
we don't have much else to do, so if we want to just read through them quickly. Because the April 4th ones were not available at the 18th meeting, so. Well, why don't, we can just defer it till the next
You
meeting.
want to defer?
Yeah, so let's defer approval of both the April 4th and April 18 minutes till the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to defer.
Oh, thank you. Is that seconded?
Oh,
Seconded. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so we'll be prepared with 3 sets of minutes next time, probably. Okay, before we get into anything else, I want to mention the public hearing on the 10th, which is a joint meeting of the Selectmen and the Planning Board. So we need to have 3 of us there. I'm planning to come, so I'm hoping at least two or more of us are planning to come. Can I get some commitments here? It's
I'm out of town.
Thursday the 10th.
I can't be there.
You can't be there, okay.
When is that?
6 o'clock on
I'll be
Thursday
there,
the
Tom.
10th.
I'll be
Okay,
there.
we got Ed, Scott, Mark,
If nobody else can, I can go.
6 in the evening?
6 in the evening,
Okay, I can probably do
On a
that.
Thursday.
on Thursday, Thursday a week. Okay,
Nina,
sounds like we've got.
Let me know if you don't, Nina, then I will.
We got, we're there. We have more than 3. It amounts to whatever is changing in the revisions to the land use ordinance need to be voted on by us.
Well, what
Need
it
to be
is that
public.
you all as a board just need to hold a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the land use ordinance.
Right.
And so typically, as a matter of practice, that's been held at the same meeting that the Board of Selectmen holds their public hearing.
Right.
Yep.
So,
But the approval will be a town meeting?
That's
the
correct.
town meeting approval,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to item 180202, Seaside Hotel Associates, DBA Nonantum Resort. And right now, we're just have a finding of facts, unless you actually need to talk to us.
Okay,
We liked what we saw last time, so Mark is gonna read the finding of
Okay.
facts.
So I have
Okay,
multiple copies here too, if everyone wants one or needs one, so that Lisa printed out.
Do we
okay.
have a final revision?
No, I think that's the intent of this evening, but
Just
I
to go
have,
through what
you know,
we have.
right, go through what you have and if there's any amendments that you wanna make.
Okay, can you
So-
send some copies down? to-
Sure.
We have just the copy that Lisa sent out that had signatures
Right,
and
so-
stuff on it?
Yeah, so what you have is you have the copy that I'm sending down. This is the one that has the yellow highlighted portions that,
Oh,
are
already have that.
kind of those typical boilerplate conclusions and decisions pieces. But then I also have 2 copies of the same that just don't have the highlighting on them.
Oh, okay. I have 2 copies with highlighting here.
Yeah. Yeah, so just so you know, I have copies that don't have the highlight.
Okay, those are the ones we signed, so.
Right.
Mark, why don't you go ahead?
Sure.
And, unless somebody knows something they wanna fix right now.
The last page, I think. That part was added to mine. And the signatures. I didn't
Right.
know we were gonna go with the final vote tonight, but that's fine with me.
Well, I think there's a lot of detail missing in this. Usually we have who's representing, you know, in the first part and so forth. Who's representing the non-anthem, by what authority, and so forth.
Right.
And a lot of that doesn't seem to be in here. The deeds, for example,
Yeah.
there's no indication of the deeds in the book and page.
Right, it's a rough draft, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
if
in
it's
that
a
case,
rough
I think
draft,
what
we're not gonna vote on it.
we're not gonna vote on it as a rough draft, but if we could, get any comments to
Because
Mark to get
there
it
were some
fixed up.
serious land use issues, which is why we
Right.
thought we would do the rough draft and
Okay.
and make
that's-
sure those are in
that's
line.
good.
No, I follow that, yeah.
At the last meeting, we didn't say we were gonna go to the final thing tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to read something?
Was,
Sure.
can I ask a quick question? Was there a vote as to whether to approve the application?
Oh,
At the last board meeting?
No, we wanted to
remember
see what
seeing
Mark
that.
had to say. We figured
Okay.
we could approve it at the same time.
I think
But,
he asked, was there a vote to approve the application complete? Is that what you asked?
Yes,
Well, don't we normally approve the application to be complete, but then we
Right.
approve? We give the approval, and then normally
Yeah.
we either read the findings of
Mhm.
fact, or at the next hearing, we do the
Right.
findings of fact. I was questioning whether there was the second approval,
Oh,
I guess.
no, I don't, no.
No.
Okay.
Okay. I can read if you want, or.
Isn't there just one big issue here? That, you know, the fact that we're dealing with two lots
Mm-hmm,
in two different zones,
mm-hmm.
but it seems like that's the basis of all the confusion around this, and
Mhm.
the basis on which we need to vote is we need to straighten out whether you can take parking spaces that were supposedly given a long time ago on the riverfront zone and put them into a residential lot and expand a non-conforming use, basically, or change the use. And a lot on the residential zone that's part shoreland and part residential. And so I just wanted to know, I didn't get to go all the way through these. How did you resolve that? Can we get to how we resolve that?
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't I start off with number 2? The property is comprised of 2 separate lots. The location of the resort is 95 Ocean Ave. It's identified as map 8, block 1, lot 13, and is in the riverfront zone. The location of the other lot, which is the focus of the application, is across the street from the resort at 98 Ocean Ave. Identified as map 8, block 9, lot 10. It is divided by 2 zones, the village residential zone and the shoreland zone.
actually,
90
the shoreline's an overlay. The whole thing is village residential.
Right,
The shoreline is an overlay.
So it's divided by-
portion of that.
so the shoreland is like roughly half of the lot.
Yes, but
Okay.
the whole thing is village residential.
Okay.
Shoreline is an overlay.
Okay,
So if you could clarify that.
okay. 98 Ocean Ave is 1.09 acres in area and has 40 parking spaces. There are 3 structures on this lot: a new house, an old dormitory/storage building, and an old garage. 4, the non-anthem submitted an updated application on April 17 to seek approval to remove the garage and the storage building and to construct a new storage building. Also, the application requested approval to transfer the rights to previously approved parking at 95 Ocean Ave to 98 Ocean Ave. The total number of parking spaces at 98 would be 61, 98 Ocean Ave. 5, the non-anthem presented information that demonstrates that the 2 buildings to be removed are in an advanced state of deterioration. The description of the condition was supplemented by recent photographs. The planning board determined that the buildings were in the condition described and decided that they could be removed with a new one to be constructed. 6, the Nonantum described the need for additional parking, especially for employees. 7, a public hearing was held on April 18, and there was no public commentary. 8, this is the heart of it here. The planning board considered the historical use of the Nonantum, in particular the two lots having served as functionally dependent upon each other for many decades. The resort has had parking, storage, and employee housing across the street, and the planning board determined that the two lots could be considered one in terms of the past overall use of parking for guests and employees. The overall impact of the additional parking on the property as a whole would not have an adverse impact on the environment or on neighboring properties. The planning board further concluded that the impact would be less, given the removal of parking spaces directly along the riverbank of the Kennebunk River. The lack of public commentary was another consideration in this decision. 9, as private parking is not a permitted use in the village residential zone and cannot be expanded, the planning board's conclusion is that this plan would not be an expansion. It would be a transfer of established parking spaces on the property. And then I went down through Article 10. You guys want me to
No,
continue
no.
with that, or
No,
you guys can skim through there?
no, the main thing at this point,
Yeah.
sure is to add what Nina mentioned, is the, standard boilerplate of one of these that says who was represented by and,
Okay.
first, and that they presented a deed and just the standard first 4 items.
So there was a representative and a deed, okay.
But beyond that,
I wonder if you shouldn't add something that indicates that it's not, even though in the residential zone, it's an expansion of a non-conforming use, it's considered less onerous than having parking on the riverfront zone.
I agree.
Yeah, because
'Cause that was-
basically, you are expanding a non-conforming use there, and you need to really give the rationale for it, and say the expansion is allowed
Because of the,
because of the owner's condition of having parking on the riverfront zone. This is less onerous and would not have as much of an adverse effect on the overall effect. I don't know how to reword it, the overall.
you sort of said that in the 1010A, although you
Yeah.
didn't actually use the word onerous.
Onerous is a good word to use there, I think.
So, summarize what you said?
Oh, God.
Hey, go watch the tape.
So even though this is an expansion, in the residential zone, this is an expansion of a
But
non-conforming
I didn't look
use.
at it as that zone, in what I wrote in Part 8, I just looked at it as the whole property.
I know you did.
Otherwise, it's
I know
an
you
illegal
don't.
expansion
Well,
of a
say that
non-conforming
you-
use, and there's no way around it.
You could say that even though taken separately, okay, in the residential zone, this might be considered an expansion of a non-conforming use. Taken together, the two lots, taken together, the whole thing, and so forth, it's basically not so much an expansion as having less of an adverse impact overall.
That's kind of what I said.
Okay, if you feel it says that, I'll go along with it.
Transferring
Yeah, I
over.
sort of said that in 8, and sort of said it
Yeah.
in 10A also.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we should go down the road of justifying expanding a non-conforming use.
But another person could look at it as an expansion of a non-conforming use in a residential zone. Somebody could take exception to that. So you want to
Well-
have some justification in case someone,
That's what I thought I did.
Okay.
Werner?
Well, my recollection was that you all talked about, relocation of parking spaces that are non-conforming. You're making a call on terms of parking spaces that are non-conforming due to setback versus parking spaces non-conforming due to zone, I think is, you know, and you're making a judgment call regarding the adversity of that. You know, what is a, you know, which situation do you deem to be, you know, I think in Nina's words, less
The
onerous?
worst case scenario.
Right,
yes.
and, you know, less onerous, and then I think what you need to do is probably talk about why that's the case. You know, why is it more important to eliminate parking that is directly on the river with virtually no setback, into a location that clearly meets setback, but, you know, by virtue of the zone, doesn't allow for the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
I could
It's just a matter of
sharpening
just
up what you
being a
say in
little more
1010A
specific.
will do it.
Can
That's all.
can I offer a thought? When I read item 2, Mark, I don't think that's true. I don't think the property is comprised of 2 separate lots.
It
think-
legally is.
Legally, it is.
Legally it is.
Can I offer that the application is specifically for 98 Ocean Ave? It's not for 95. The application is for 98. Right? So I think we need to deal with the application as it has been approved, which is for 98. My recollection and understanding of what I expect to see here is that, and I know that we talk about this and we all go away with our thoughts about, oh, we're all agreed. But what's written here, it forces us to really decide whether we agree or not. And that's what we're struggling with here.
I mean,
We
I'm for the
looked at-
parking, so I did this.
I know you did. I'm fine. Let me try to get the thought out. We looked at this property, and I think our first reaction, I know yours was, and I think mine was, that this looks like we're expanding parking in a village residential property. What are we talking about? And then we looked at it and we said, well, we are if you only look at that, but if you look historically, the parking on this property that the application is for has been grandfathered to be coupled with a property across the street. And part of the application showed that co-joined parking plan. We said, if we only restricted ourselves to looking at this one lot, we might have concluded that we couldn't do this because it would be considered an expansion in use. But given the grandfathered coupling with the property across the street, then if we reduce this onerous parking that's along the riverfront, and we look at the fact that we're not making the whole situation worse, we're actually making it better, then we conclude that this is not more adverse, non-conforming use than we already had. So, in other words, say
I'm not
that the
sure what he's-
property is 95, but it's the parking coupled with the property just on the other side of the street that allows us to consider just the parking
So,
aspect of it.
In Part 8, if you could look at Part 8,
8.
you want
Yeah,
should I read that out loud again, or?
no, I can read it. Considered the historical use of the nonantum, in particular the 2 lots having served as functionally dependent on, I like that.
Well, how's that
That's-
different from what you just said?
What I'm asking you to consider is that the property is not comprised of 2 separate lots. The property that the application is for is only 1 lot.
So how does that change it? It is 2 separate lots. The owners own 2 separate lots.
Yes,
They
they do.
probably get 2 tax bills, all right? They're
Right.
two,
But
they
they're
do get,
asking
I'm
to
missing
change only
something.
right,
98.
right.
If I may jump in, I think where Nina, I don't want to speak for both of you, but Nina and Ed are going is, I think what you've written, incorporates some of the flavor of what they're looking for. I think it just needs to be a little more specific, I can't talk, specific and succinct, and just go in order, address the property that's the subject of the application, then maybe get into the
And
the two
grandfather.
lots,
Its
the grand,
relationship
right,
with,
yeah.
with its across the
Just kind of
street
take it
property.
a step by
Not the one
step,
that was the
so.
application for, but by virtue of its coupling through the grandfathered parking plan, it allowed us to consider what, at first blush, and after some discussion, we were able to find our way through.
You might even say that even though it's not specifically addressed in 8.8 on non-conforming uses, it keeps within the spirit by considering the two lots together, the expansion keeps within the spirit of restricting non-conforming uses.
Right.
Right, and the
Where
grandfathered
it's
nature of it.
Not an impact on the environment or neighboring properties.
Right, right.
Yeah,
But
correct.
I'd actually put in keeping within the spirit of
yeah.
8.8,
Mm-hmm.
even though it isn't.
I mean,
The other thing that would be helpful is, I mean, ultimately, you have, you know, in your application as well, you have a copy of the previously approved parking plan. You know, and so
Yes.
in as much what you're, you know, contemplating authorizing is a modification of a previously approved parking plan that encompassed the two properties.
right.
Right, and that's one of the main reasons that we're able to approve the application for the one property, is the approved plan that spans both.
I just think it, you know, having a reference to that piece of it is an
I like
important
that.
component, that you have a previously approved plan that,
Yep.
you know, that shows both parcels being utilized for parking.
It's just having some evidence to basically support what we're trying to do.
I mean, I'll be honest, this talk is because this is against the ordinance, this application, and we're looking for a way to justify it. So I'm going to be perfectly honest.
So you're uncomfortable with that?
Yeah.
No. it-
But I'll do, I mean,
I agree, but not everything is cut and dried, and you can't find, you know, something specific in the land use ordinance to address the
justify.
The same thing we have with Sandy Pines, you know, how
Right.
do you get your basis?
No, they're totally different. I don't want to compare those.
Well, they're really not totally different, because again, you're going back in history and looking at something
Yeah.
and trying to determine how can you handle the situation. And those come up in the land use ordinance, and you just have to make a judgment call.
But I think the key to this was what was said over there somewhere, but that,
Somebody said.
that the overall parking plan is what's grandfathered. And they're
Yeah.
tweaking it between the two properties,
Right.
but the overall piece is,
Right.
so it's not, you know, like item 2 needs to go down a ways and be, you know, that referring to, oh, by the way, the parking situation on Nonantum was because the two lots were grandfathered together for parking. So, as a result of what they intend to do, they're going to, oh, by the way, modify the parking on the other side of the river, next to the river.
And when taken together, it is not an expansion of use.
And it further gets it away from the river.
On the property, not on the lot.
Right.
Right. On the overall
On the two
property.
On the overall
Properties.
property.
Right. Which is what it
So-
pretty much says.
I think we're, yeah. So do you want to take another crack at it based on hearing all this stuff? And see if we can, and get it out again the same way where you send it and people can read it and respond only to you?
Well,
So that it's
just,
not a
it
meeting.
sounds like some of you all have some, you know, maybe some specific language that maybe it would be helpful just to
Yeah,
give
get
Mark
the-
some of
get the
that specific
to
language.
Mark.
And, you know, then you can take that and incorporate that in. You know, that
Okay.
may be helpful just to get some of those individual points.
But I mean, to leave out that they're not two lots is shady. I
Well,
mean,
no,
No, you don't
don't-
want to leave out
You
there
bring
not
it,
two
you bring
lots.
it in terms of the
I
overall
mean,
parking.
that should come
was
out
where-
front. It should be number 2. It should be number 1 or number 2. We're laying the groundwork for what this application is all about, so
Yeah.
I don't think putting number 2 further down would do any good at all. You have to come out with the facts, the basic facts of the property. So saying that there are two lots should be in number 1 or number 2 or number 3, not way down, Tom.
But if you do that, Mark, you need to be careful that the findings of facts agrees with what it says in the application.
That they want to have parking on 98 Ocean Ave.
The application says the subject property is located at 98 Ocean Ave.
Right,
That's right.
yeah.
Well, but I'm uncomfortable then reading that the property is at 95 and 98 Ocean Ave.
Well, the office came from there.
True.
They're both the same property.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're going to talk about previous parking, you have to say that they come from 95, right? From the 1990s, that parking that's not being used?
Yes. So,
Well, yeah, you have to bring that in,
Yeah.
but I think you have to be specific that the subject property is the 98 Ocean Ave. And then, basically,
it-
historically,
historically
the
and
two lots,
specifically.
there are two lots that have been taken together, 98 and 95.
Mhm.
95 was allowed so much parking. At this point, the applicants want to transfer some of that
Mhm.
parking to 98,
Mm-hmm,
based on the historically previously approved by the planning board
mm-hmm.
parking plan.
And the fact that it's much nicer thing to be parking over there than it is to
Yep.
park where they currently
Oh, I agree.
could be allowed.
I agree with that.
Grass on
It's
the-
just a way of justifying it.
Yeah,
Yes. And I agree with you, that if you take the literal words out of the land use ordinance, you couldn't do it. Okay,
If it weren't for the grandfathering.
yes.
right.
Okay,
Pro-
so could you,
Pro-
everybody try to get,
One piece, just, what I was hearing from Ed, would it be helpful, in your mind, if the applicant supplied a revised cover sheet on the application that identified both properties on it? Because I hear that's a question.
I think the easiest thing to do is to say that the application is for 98
Yeah,
and that there's a historical coupling to
okay,
95.
all right.
I
And
think
is-
we can handle it in
think
the
that's
finding of fact.
fine that it's
I
in the
have-
findings,
I have no
okay.
problem with the application.
Okay.
I just want to be,
But it brings up
Tight
another
with it.
point.
I
If
heard,
they're giving up a
Mhm.
historically approved plan, if they're giving up the same number of spaces on that plan, maybe we should have
we probably should have both.
both in that
yeah,
application.
it does, it affects both properties.
That's right.
Right,
Because then, basically, you have in the record that
Mhm.
they've given up that number of parking
Correct.
spaces in 95 Ocean Ave.
yep,
So
No, I
they
agree-
kind
I
of go
agree with
back
that.
and take those.
Yeah.
so, is
I mean, I
it-
think you
is
can
it the
probably
same-
handle that within the
Is it the same
findings,
number
but-
that is, we ended up with the same number of parking spaces?
Yes.
Net,
Absolutely.
we're
You end up
moving
with,
19 from one to the other?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
Okay.
And I just want to respectfully thank everyone. I understand that this is a very a difficult situation, probably a very unique one, and so I appreciate all of your time and deliberations in how you're approaching this. And I appreciate, Werner, thank you for guiding everyone with some of the language, because I think amending a previously approved site plan is really what you're being asked to do here. And you're looking at which is the lesser of two evils. And if you'd like an application, the actual cover sheet revised, I'm certainly glad to do that. If you want to include it between the 95 and the 98.
Yeah.
If that makes it a little bit easier. But again, historically, if we have something that we're asking to do at 95 Ocean Avenue that would affect parking, we've never included the application to both. Again, because of the historic situation with the hotel of both, the entire, both sides of the road, if you will, being considered one parcel. So, but I'm happy to revise whatever you'd like to see happen.
Okay, I think
Would-
that'll help a lot and probably
Okay.
will help with Mark's, it'll make number 2 nice. We'll be fine. Keep Ed happy. So, I guess we ought to proceed. But please, if you have specific language, get it to Mark so we can fold it in. And then we can, at the next meeting, I hope, simply read findings of facts and be done with it.
So are you able to vote this evening, or are you waiting to hear the revised wording?
I think this is complicated enough that we should wait and see if we can draft something that, you know, everybody can agree with.
So I'm afraid we're going to want to
Okay.
wait until the next meeting to approve it and sign the finding of facts that
Okay.
Mark will so eloquently expand upon. So, all right, why don't we move to the next item?
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is item 180301, David McCullough, Walsh Engineering Associates, authorized agent on behalf of David McCullough. It's a site plan review. This is the finding of facts. Do you have copies, or do I have copies?
I believe you should have those.
Oh, under here?
Yeah.
Oh. There they are. Okay. So, this was intriguing. I seem to have, because this, there were a bunch of intriguing things. We just approved this because it was just extending it. But, and with a little note that said, oh, by the way, they changed ownership. Well, they changed ownership from one lot to 3 separate lots under 3 different LLCs and included the wrong map in the packet. And interestingly, the cover page has March 28th, 2017, and the cover letter is 2018. But anyway, so I have got a set of conditions at the end of them updating this little sucker before. So anyway, we'll start. So Kennebunkport Planning Board, findings of facts and decision, application of Woody Creek Development, 49 Irvale Road, Kennebunk, Maine, 04043. This is renewal of previously approved site plan for construction of a private road and stream crossing at 97 Goose Rocks Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. At the meeting on 19 April 2018, Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings and conclusions and renders the following decision. Finding of facts. 1, the original site plan for this project was approved on 19 July 2017, as documented in the finding of facts recorded by the York County Registry of Deed, Book 17541, page 415. 2, a building permit was not obtained within the required 180 days. 3, the applicant and owner of the property is Woody Creek Development LLC with a mailing address of 49 Irvale Road, Kennebunk, Maine, 04043. 4, the property has a street address of 97 Goose Rocks Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, identified as map 16, block 3, lot 7 on the municipal assessor's map, consists 5.49 acres more or less. This deed also documents a 50-foot right-of-way and easement encompassing 1.04 acres more or less for purposes of this private road. Excuse me. Since the original plan filing, the original property has been subdivided into 3 parcels, as documented in a drawing recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds on September 29th, 2017, as instrument 2017-000254, book 391, page 23. This property described on the site plan is identified as parcel 1 on said drawing. Property is located in the farm and forest and shoreland zones. 7, applicant is represented by Walsh Engineering Associates, 1 Karen Drive, Suite 2A, Westbrook, Maine, 04092. Owner has demonstrated legal interest in the property by providing the copy of the warranty deed recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 17576, page 925 to 927, dated 6 October 2017. In an application dated March 22nd, 2017, The applicant proposes to construct a 787 plus or minus foot private road crossing of a tributary of Round Swamps Brook. The road will be 16 feet wide, 3-foot shoulders on each side, and will be required to pass the 100-year flood without overtopping the road. 6-foot diameter concrete culvert embedded 1.5 feet below the bottom of the stream, and a 5-foot diameter culvert at the elevation of the floodplain. Applicant has requested no submission waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. Applicant has requested no performance standard waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. Number 12, under the current Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance, the lot is conforming. Applicant, not used to non-conforming, pardon me. The applicant has received permits from DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers. Guidelines for decision. Pursuant to the requirements of 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan unless it makes a negative ruling on any of these, on one or more of the following identified findings which would otherwise compel denial. A, proposed use meets the definition and specific requirements set forth in the Land Use Ordinance and will be in compliance with applicable state or federal laws. Finding is yes. Comment, proposed 50-foot road meets 6.14C for up to 3 private dwellings, since the 50-foot right-of-way exceeds the 33-foot requirement, and the road width meets the 16-foot requirement. State and federal requirements are met through DEP and Army Corps permits provided with the application. B, proposed use will not create fire safety hazards, will provide adequate access to the site and to buildings on the site for emergency vehicles. Yes is the finding. Comment, the new road is sufficient for transit of emergency vehicles. C is exterior lighting, which is not applicable. D is on-site landscaping buffers, is not applicable. E, the proposed use will not have significant detrimental effect on use and peaceful enjoyment of abutting properties. And this is a finding of yes. The proposed new road is for the it's away from abutting purposes, but it's for the purposes of them getting to their lots, so they're going to like it. Vehicular loading and unloading is not applicable. Proposed use will not have significant detrimental effect on adjacent properties, and that's yes. It's a proposed private road away from abutting properties. H, the design of the site will not result in significant flood hazards or flood damage. The finding is it will not, and the comment is the proposed stream crossing culverts are required to pass the 100-year requirements in the FEMA maps. I, adequate provision for disposal of wastewater, and that's non-applicable. J, adequate provision for control of erosion. That's yes. They have a very nice erosion plan in there. It says a stabilized construction interest with silt fences and erosion control mixed barriers is used. K, adequate provision has been made to handle stormwater runoff, and the answer is yes. And again, it's in the detailed erosion control plan. L, the proposed water supply meets the demands. That's not applicable. M, adequate provision for transportation, storage, and disposal of hazardous substances. It's not applicable. N, proposed use will not have adverse impact on scenic vistas and wildlife habitat. And the finding is yes. The Maine DEP has already approved the project. O, proposed use will not cause unreasonable highway or public road contention. Yes, it's a single road entrance for small, just for 2 new houses. It should not cause congestion on that part of Goose Rocks Road. P, existing off-site ways and traffic facilities can safely and conveniently accommodate the traffic. The answer is yes. It's 2 new houses. It's a very small number of additional trips. When a proposed development will be located in shoreland or resource protection zones. In addition to the requirements of Ordinance Article 10, the townwide regulations in Article 6, performance standards in specific activities and land use in Article 7, approval of this will also require the board makes positive findings on information presented that the that the proposed use, A, will maintain safe and healthful conditions, yes, everything, it's built to town bylaws, will not result in water pollution, erosion, or to surface waters, yes, the stream crossing will be above the 100-year floodplain and provide adequate flow. C, will provide adequate disposal of wastewater, that's not applicable, will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, bird and wildlife habitat. Again, the DEP and ACOE have approved it, so the conserving shore cover is not applicable, archaeological and historic resources is not applicable. Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development, and they've provided the detailed plans and been approved in all the right places. H, it's in conformance with performance standards set forth in 5.6 of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance. That's yes, that relates to erosion control measures which are included in the plan. Any negative finding by the board means the application has been denied. Application is otherwise complete. Conclusions. Articles 1010A of Land Use Ordinance mandates that the planning board shall approve a site plan unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial. And as noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision, site plan application is hereby approved. Conditions, if any, pursuant to Article 1010 and 1011E. 1. The applicant pursuant to 1012E shall notify planning board prior to transfer of rights to construct an approved project. No assignment or transfer of rights to construct an approved project is valid without prior review and approval of the planning board of a new performance guarantee, if any. 2. Applicant must record a copy of the decision and provide proof of such recordation in a copy thereof attested to the Register of Deeds before any permit may be issued. 3. The applicant shall update the submitted site plan application resubmittal package dated March 28, 2017 on the cover and March 28, 2018 on the cover letter as follows. A. The cover letter should be revised by adding the following sentence to the first paragraph. Parcels 1 and 2 were separated in 2017, and this application pertains only to parcel 1, which was documented in the deed in Exhibit B. B. The 2017 drawing described in item 5 above should be included in the package. And C. The Exhibit J abutter list should be expanded to include Hidden Valley Mountain Properties LLC and Blue Zone Living LLC, dated May 22nd, 2018. So, here, does anyone want to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Nice job, Tom.
All right, here's one. All right, and here's the other paper clip. Mess with that one. Okay, now, could, Werner, can you explain what our final item is, since I know that's why those 5 people are here?
Yeah,
Six.
so,
Pardon me.
so we have as another business item, and you all have, received, 2 copies. We have, the main Supreme Court decision, and, you should have a copy of the Superior Court decision regarding the application of the, Kennebunkport Conservation Trust. This, related to the reconstruction of the grist mill. And so, and, Nina, you can, feel free to chime in, because primarily it was at her request that this be brought in front of the board.
Whose?
It's not my request, it's the court's order.
So, we have 2 decisions, here, and so one was the Superior Court and the other was the Supreme Court decision. And so it's a matter of question, and, I had asked Amy as to whether or not the board needed to take any action with this piece. The Supreme Court decision, vacated the approval, but didn't necessarily specify any additional action. The Superior Court decision, initially did specify a remand. If you look at the last page, it was stated the board's decision would be vacated and the matter remanded to deny the application, and then there was an entry given. So I think the question is that with these two decisions, how does the board what's the board's decision on this piece on whether or not there needs to be a formal denial of the application as indicated in the Superior Court judgment, but not necessarily in the Supreme Court judgment.
Can I jump in quick? In reading the Superior Court decision, I understand that it says the board's decision will be vacated and the matter remanded to deny the application, but then it enters an order denying the application.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, why do we
in
have?
my mind, if it's been denied by the court, what further do we need to do? Do we just need to affirm that denial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? This says, the 2 different courts have said it's done. Why do we have to do anything? What did
Well,
Amy say?
the first decision says, the very last sentence, the board's decision will be vacated and the matter remanded to deny the application.
Where
Read
is that?
right below that, the next
Right.
sentence.
Where are you reading?
Page 22, the last page.
And that's,
on
and that's they're just, I think it's saying, that's the decision that we have to deny, that we have to,
But then,
Rubber
if you
stamp.
read right below that sentence, it says, "The entry shall be, petitioner's Rule 80B appeal is granted, decision of the Kennebunkport Planning Board is reversed, and the trust's application is denied." So,
either way is fine.
yeah. In my mind, the court's made the ruling for us, denying the application, but, I mean, I'm happy to entertain, going through just the perfunctory denial, I guess, but.
So I
Me
guess
too, either way.
I'm,
Make it
I
more
just keep
fun.
reading the last sentence and seeing that it says,
Can
it's
I
denied,
ask
it's
again,
over. I don't.
What was Amy's advice on this? What is the responsibility of the board?
Well, so the question I asked was that with these 2 decisions, is there a requirement for the board to take any additional action at this point? And, she felt, at the time with these, with these 2, with the denial and the affirmation of the denial, that, that it wasn't necessary for the board to go through another process, with this application. But certainly, this is the board's decision, on what to do with this. But that was the gist of the conversation that I had with her.
Again, I'm not gonna vote on this, but to me, I would like to take the advice of the town council.
Absolutely.
I mean,
What was-
I don't think it makes.
There's no board action required. I think what we're saying, by denying this is to say, well, that's nice that the court advised that we should deny it, and I guess we will. That's not the fact of it. It sounds like the court has the authority and has exercised the authority to deny this.
And they-
We don't have a vote at this point.
yeah,
But it's
doesn't-
also remanded. The court has gone ahead and remanded to have the
I don't
decision.
understand the meaning of that word, I guess.
Remand is sent back.
Yeah.
Is
Nina,
sent
can you
back to the
can you
And it
court.
So
says,
we
and
are
it says, we
informed.
shall
We are
enter
informed.
these words.
Nina, can you speak into this? Because one of my friends was telling me to remind
Says
you
we-
guys.
It says, "The entry shall be petitioner's Rule 80B appeal is granted, decision of the Kennebunk Planning Board is reversed, and the trust's application is denied." So, do we have to make a motion that states exactly that?
Yes.
Yes.
It's 2 yeses, and how many noes? I don't,
I'm happy to do that. It's
so I guess we need
piggybacking off
to
what the
have a
court
motion
essentially.
to approve exactly that sentence to be entered into the minutes of the meeting.
Yes.
Sure. I'll first or second that, whoever. If it's already been,
Well, I didn't really move it,
okay.
that was a suggestion. But, it's not like we have a lot of choice, other than we can not do it, and then our friends over here will start a fresh new lawsuit to make sure we do say it, so,
No, not necessarily,
uh,
but I think they would like some finality to it.
I
Nina.
thought,
through the board.
I've read nothing but finality in these two.
Oh, yeah,
these two
it's
Yeah,
very
I see
clear,
it,
but-
I see it,
Let's make a motion
I see it.
on the,
Well, somebody makes a motion to exactly what it says there.
I don't know my glasses on.
Oh, well, have your neighbor can make the motion.
Can I make a motion?
Sure. Trying to figure this out.
Well, we just need, we'd need we need a little more information, and then do we have the, do we have the thing we approved, that we can say what it is we're disapproving? If we're gonna make a motion to disapprove something, we
You
ought to
should
have
have
the
the applic-
particular,
You should have the application number in front.
we should have the application number in front of us and say that is,
Sure.
that
Yep, I can provide
decision of the
application
planning
number.
board is, that the decision on such and such an application of the planning board is reversed, and the Kennebunkport plan, the trust application, and we'd have to,
So what I can do, maybe just, this will be a little bit easier to do it this way, is that we can just provide the board with a copy of the findings. And the findings should have, all of your relevant, the relevant information to it. And we can include a copy of the case number.
You don't need that, you just need the case.
I just
number.
need the case number, I don't
Okay.
think we need anything else.
Yep.
Just say the decision, well, the date might be nice, decision, decision of such and such a
I mean, I
date.
would think that, the recording book and page of the decision.
Yeah, that would,
would be-
yeah, we presumably we could get that off the, from the York County Registry of Deeds. That would be the best thing, is to have that decision and specifically reverse it.
Do you have the application number?
Yeah, I can get that for you.
But you don't have it with you?
No, I don't have it available.
Excuse me, it's probably online on the town's website under an agenda item. It can be accessed right now if you need it.
I don't have the ability to access it. But I
What
don't
was the
think-
date of the approval?
Sometime on or after September 16th, 2015. The court does reference several dates of deliberation, so the final one was September 16th, 2015.
Is the docket number of the original application?
No, we have the docket, we have the docket info. We're
No,
looking
the
for case
application.
number in the,
Right, got it.
The application
in the
case number,
application.
to specifically reference when we deny it.
I'm sorry, did we have a date?
So this was, the last deliberation date was September 16th, 2015, so it's probably 2015.
Okay, so that was case number 150401.
Could you say that one more time?
Yep. Case number 150401.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
We got it. Yeah. I know.
so the decision of the planning board case number, what was it?
150401.
150-401 is reversed, and the Kennebunkport Land Trust's application, not land trust, it's conservation trust. Okay, so what we're looking for is a motion that the decision of the Kennebunkport Planning Board, case number 150401, is reversed. We are reversing that, I guess. And the Kennebunkport Land Conservation Trust's application is thereby denied.
Based on,
Supreme or Superior Court?
Based on court decisions or something. So,
So moved.
okay, we have a second?
Yes.
All right, a second. All in favor? Okay, so
wait,
that's 4 in favor, and I'm not going to vote in favor. But, I mean, I'll admit defeat, but I'm not.
You can't abstain.
Hmm?
You can't abstain. You're a part of it, and the court's directed you to vacate the decision.
No, it's directed the planning board to vacate the decision.
there you go.
It did not did say every member of the planning board should vacate the decision, did it?
I think that's very poor, okay? I have voted against certain things in this planning board, but I still sign the findings of
Well,
fact,
I'll,
okay?
yeah,
This is
all
like
right.
a findings of
Never mind.
fact.
so,
True,
Okay.
good point.
okay, so it's 5-0, so.
Thank you.
All right.
I think I will take one more motion. Someone would like to,
Motion to adjourn?
that would be nice, yeah,
That'd be good
like
tonight.
that.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay, we're done.